All right, guys. So the hype of North Carolina I'm not going to say it's dead, but it definitely took a huge hit. Virginia Tech, first of all, congratulations to them. They were able to, get in there, get the job done. First of all, the atmosphere in that stadium was insane, right? You heard the Enter the Sandman, 100,000 plus fans jumping up. It was mostly an orange atmosphere, but for the most part, it was deafening. I mean, it was loud, it was crazy in there. And again, I'm not gonna lie to you, I got emotional a little bit because again, I talked about this in my previous videos, but just the return of the college football of this particular atmosphere is what we're missing. This is what makes college football special. It's these type of traditions, it's these type of atmospheres, and nobody else. I think maybe the closest thing that comes to it is maybe European soccer or European football as they call it. That's probably the closest thing that you can probably get to it. But man, the atmosphere, the tradition was insane tonight. But North Carolina was extremely disappointing in today's loss. Extremely disappointing in today's loss. Mac Brown got out coached. North Carolina they just looked buzzed. North Carolina didn't look focused. North Carolina, they looked like they needed a preseason game, right? I talked about this before that college football teams, I think they need a preseason, at least maybe one preseason game, but they just looked out of shape. They looked rusty. They looked like they had a lot of new pieces around there that they just needed just a little bit more time to kind of gel together, get more continuity, get more chemistry. Virginia Tech just came in there and played, and I think a huge reason why Virginia Tech won, and again, we got to give credit to the players, of course, but I thought it was two reasons. I thought that the crowd was the number one factor, and number two, I feel like it was the coaching staff that did it. And you know what? I'll include a third reason. North Carolina had a lot of mistakes. They made a lot of mistakes that ultimately cost them this football game. Penalties and turnovers was one of the biggest one of the biggest reasons why you have to add into the factor that they lost this football game. Virginia Tech, I will say this, destroyed North Carolina in the interior on the defensive side of the ball. North Carolina could not block their defensive tackles. They could not block, and again, they were rotating guys, could not block the interior pass rush. That's a huge concern moving forward because, again, you're going against, even though Virginia Tech is really, they're a pretty solid team pretty much for the ACC, where you're going against some of the big dogs like, let's say, Clemson and the Factor, they're going to get crushed. So they need to try to fix that. Sam Howell, I talked about him last year. He reminds me of Brett Favre. For some good reasons, and then of course for some bad reasons. He's a gunslinger. He has that gunslinger mentality where he feels like he has to make plays. We saw it last year, man. Even when North Carolina was winning, I talked about it in the Miami game. The dude was making throws where, you were saying to yourself, "Oh, that's a phenomenal throw. That's crazy arm strength and crazy accuracy." And then the flip side, you're like, what the hell? Why is he throwing that pass? He's throwing it into triple coverage. He's throwing it where he's getting spun around. He's still throwing it. He's always trying to make a play, and that's part of that gunslinger mentality. And you saw tonight, he made some mistakes. You saw at times where he didn't go through his progressions. You saw at times where he wasn't really looking off defenders. You saw at times where the defense was really confusing him and was really confusing him, and no one was really open, but still he would still try to make the big play. And then even on the last series where where again, North Carolina couldn't really block any of their interior pass rushers. One dude got through. Sam Howell got caught. What does Sam Howell tries to do? Instead of taking a sack, because they got 3 timeouts, which, by the way, we're going to talk about time management in the last one, because, again, that Mac Brown did a horrible job of time management there. But he got spun around, and instead of just taking the sack and using a timeout and live for another play, he tries to throw the ball, and it ends up costing North Carolina the football game. I mean, it's just mistakes like that I don't like about Sam Howell, which is why when people say he's the second best quarterback coming out of this particular year, or even going for the NFL draft, I'll just say this: the reason why people are saying that is literally because there's no one else. We haven't seen anybody else yet. You already know there's going to be some particular players that we've never heard of that are going to have a huge increase in their draft stock, or Again, there's going to be some freshmen or maybe some redshirt freshman quarterbacks that are going to come out of nowhere and that they're going to show up and produce. And they're going to replace Sam Howell up there. The reason why Sam Howell gets the credit that he gets is simply because there's nobody else right now. We don't know anybody else. So we have to assume that Sam Howell, based off what we saw from last year, is going to replicate the same production. But we talk so much about the good than the bad that Sam Howell that comes with the territory of Sam Howell. And Sam Howell is a gunslinger, and that can be good, but that mentality can also be a horrible thing. Now, I want to talk about time management here. You had 3 timeouts, Mac Brown. What the fuck were you doing at the end? I mean, Mac Brown looked exhausted. He looked worn out. He looked out of shape. But damn it, what the fuck were you doing, Mac Brown? I mean, you had 3 timeouts, and he didn't use, and again, he didn't use any timeouts until like, what, 45, 46 seconds? I mean, what were you doing? I mean, I guess he was trying to get his team in a certain position, maybe inside the red zone, in order for him to take those particular timeouts. But you just never know. You can take a sack. You can take a sack. You just never. Something could happen where you're gonna say, "Damn, I probably should have used the timeout a little bit earlier." The management was not off. I'm sorry. The management was off here. Again, I can't even talk right now because I'm thinking to myself, what the hell was Mac Brown doing on that series? The most crucial series. And it's not like if you score, you're going to win the game. No, you're trying to tie up the game. So you really want to try to score as fast as possible, especially when you're under a minute. It doesn't make any sense to me what Mac Brown was doing there. But overall wise, I mean, listen, Virginia Tech won this game. Do I think North Carolina was the more talented team? Of course. Do I think North Carolina was the better coach team? Hell no, because at the end of the day, Virginia Tech outcoached North Carolina as well in that particular instance. But Virginia Tech they were more prepared. They seemed, even during Virginia Tech's opening drive, they seemed way more physical. They seemed way more enthusiastic to play North Carolina than North Carolina did playing Virginia Tech. I think overall wise, the coaching staff did a better job of preparing these young men for war. They did a better job of preparing this team to play 60 minutes of hard physical football. And at the end of the day, it was just a little too late. North Carolina made way too many mistakes. They had way too many penalties and turnovers. And Virginia Tech capitalized off the mistakes. And they got the W. Simple as that. We'll see what happens in the ACC because besides Clemson, North Carolina was supposed to be the team. But now that North Carolina lost this game, I think a lot of people are going to hype off the bandwagon. I don't know if I'm going to hop off the bandwagon yet of North Carolina winning their division. But with this loss, it sets them back. And now you have to look at it and think about this. Where is this going to go for Virginia Tech? Where is this going to go for their other opponents like NC State and Virginia? Because I think that those teams are just as good as Virginia Tech, if not maybe a little bit better. We'll find out about it. But like I said, give a lot of credit to Fuente. Did a great job preparing these young men. And we will see what happens next week for both these particular teams. But anyway, guys, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video and maybe a little rant that I went on towards. I'll be back with more college football content later on in the week, so definitely stay tuned for that. But anyway, Jan Sports, I'll catch you guys in a bit. Peace.